Methods to sow tomato seeds is challenging and also extremely rewarding. Hopefully the following tomato growing tips will help you get going the right way. You could purchase tomato seeds from a variety of places online and offline. You may prefer to use heirloom tomato seeds. They're considered to be a variety that's been passed on through generations due to the highly valued characteristics. Regardless of what variety you select, homegrown tomatoes usually produce succulent crops. Mainly sowing tomato seeds is done indoors 6 to 8 weeks prior to the spring frost in your area. Transplanting tomato seeds outdoors usually takes another 2 weeks. The following are tips on growing tomato seeds. The initial step is to grow tomato seeds indoors. Using a flat tray or pot, plant your tomato seeds about 1/4 inch deep using fertile soil mix. Soil mix is usually a combination of peat moss, perlite, and garden soil. Water it consistently, keeping the soil moist. Be sure that your tomato plants are exposed to sunlight a minimum of 6 to 8 hours each day. Otherwise, you can also use a fluorescent light fixture a minimum of 1 to 2 inches away from your tomato seedling. The sufficient supply of sunshine makes your plant grow tough. The absence of sufficient lighting will trigger them to grow leggy. When the tomato plant true leaves start to grow, and before the plant becomes root-bound, you will need to transfer it into a bigger pot or a 16-ounce plastic cup to allow root growth and development. Young pampered seedlings that were grown indoors will need an adjustment period to acclimate to outdoor conditions prior to being planted into the garden. Seedlings that were grown inside will certainly require an adjustment period to adjust to outside conditions prior to being planted in your garden. Before you plant your tomato seedlings outdoor, you will certainly need to harden them off, which means to slowly expose it to outside temperatures. Hardening off seedlings slowly exposes the tender plants to the wind, sun, and rainfall. This process will strengthen them up by thickening the follicles on the leaves so they lose less water when subjected to the elements. Also, this process will help prevent transplant shock, the term used for plants that rot, end up being stunted, or die from abrupt changes in temperature. Be sure to plant your tomatoes 24 to 36 inches apart for proper air circulation around the plant. This will ensure that the light will penetrate the lower leaves of your tomato plant. Plant your growing tomatoes deeply to allow root development as well as growth. This will help in building a solid foundation for your growing tomato plant. See to it that when adding soil to your plant, it is equally spread around the stem. Press the garden soil lightly to ensure the contact of the roots and soil. Sprinkle with water immediately. For best results, make sure you water your tomato plant consistently as well as full sunlight exposure to your tomato plant. Lack of sunlight will certainly lead to curved stems and also blossom end rot and bacterial contamination. Prune excess leaves to eliminate pests and also various other bacteria. Cutting some of the leaves will allow sunlight penetration to your tomato plant down to its soil. However, do not exceedingly cut off leaves, for they are the source of photosynthesis, which is the source of the sweet flavor of your tomatoes. Finally, staking is additionally helpful to prevent blossom end rot to your tomatoes.